it is indicative of the character of God. Don't allow anybody to call you anything that does not represent what God is raising you up to be. So let's look at Peter, verse 18. Peter makes a decision, and I preached the beginning of this passage once before, and Jesus asked the disciples, what are men saying about me? Who do men say that I am? And he lifts up the wrong answer, okay? And Peter gives the right answer. And in verse 17, he says, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, because my Father in heaven has revealed this unto you. You didn't get this off of MySpace. You didn't get this off the gossip industry. You weren't sitting in the beauty salon or the barbershop and caught this about me. But you got a relationship with my Father in heaven enough that he can reveal special information to you. And watch this. At that very moment, he nicknames Peter. And he nicknamed him Rock. Now, I want to give you 3 P's, and I'm going to sit down to help you understand what this nickname means to Peter and what nickname should mean to you when it comes to God. That when he names him Rock, he reveals his potential. In other words, God does not hold you, young people, young adults, seasoned saints, to your past. God always looks at you to your future. Because here is Peter, who had a lion spirit. Touch somebody and say, I heard you did too. I heard you did too. Here's a young man who had a cussing problem. Look at somebody and say, I heard some stuff about you too. Here's a man who carried a knife, who carried a piece and was violent when he had to be. And look at somebody and say, is he talking to you? Is he talking to you? And so everybody in Fairbanks knew Peter's history, like some of y'all sitting in here. Everybody know your stuff. Everybody know where you drink, who you drank with, who you was hanging with, where you were at last night. They won't tell me, but y'all know each other. That he knows, and they know who went to the Eagles Club last night. Or is that shut down, they told me. How you know? They know who went to the rap concert last night. They buy coffee entertainment. They know where you were. Okay? But aren't you glad we serve a God who does not hold your past to you? And according to God, past was last night. And he looks at Peter with Peter's issues, with Peter's circumstances, with Peter's situations, even though he had some stuff he had to work on, nicknames him not by his past, but by his potential. I wish y'all would get this, especially to you in the room who found yourself in a rut in life and feel like you can't move forward, that God is looking at you today saying, I know your past, but I also know your potential. Can I tell you that I could have turned out to be anything, but God knew I had the potential to do what I'm doing right now. And thank God he put people strategically around me to focus my direction in the message of my potential. Do you know why I emphasize youth ministry and young people? Because there's some doctors sitting in here, there's some lawyers, there's some missionaries, some preachers, some deacons, and if we focus them in the right direction, I am a firm believer we can turn their lives around. Is there anybody here saying my life was turned around by the youth choir, my life was turned around by the usher board, my life was turned around by praise decks, and my life was turned around not because of my family, but because of a child? Peter, who has a tattered history, listen to me, Mike, and a bad background and history, Mia, but why God, through his son Jesus, walks up to him and says, I know all that stuff about you, and still I call you a rock. I just messed up some of y'all because you still holding some stuff against your neighbor that happened 6 months ago. You still holding the fact that she used to be a drunk last year. That's why you're looking at her cross-eyed today in church. But I'm so glad that you don't dictate my destiny. Is there anybody here that says, I'm so glad I got a God who's on my side that doesn't hold me to my past? But can I be real with y'all? None of us would make it into heaven if our past was the ticket to get in. Because if any of y'all that's saved in here today, God has saved you from something. It might not have been my issue, but look at somebody say, you had something, you had something. I don't know what it is, but you got something. And just because they weren't the 5 big looks at Peter